Hey guys, it's Bible Girl. At the moment, it is July 15th, 2011. It's Fantasy Friday. Not sure if this is actually going to get the chance to be uploaded this Friday. I wanted to, but it's very, very late, so I don't know. And this is my review of Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. I wanted to actually show this yesterday, but I was in a really, really odd emotional state. Well, not yesterday. About 3, I was planning on filming my review shortly after watching the movie. But I was in another place emotionally. It wasn't like I was crying or jumping up and down like I was with Smallville. I was just in this weird place. When the movie ended, I was in the weird place as credits were going, but once I was out of the little room, the theater, and I was talking to my friends, I was like, yay, and this and that, and all excited, but by the time I had gotten back to my friend's dorm that I was spending the night at, I was in a weird emotional state, so didn't film it then. Overall, I thought it was a fantastic movie. I got to go see it at midnight, obviously, from what I just said, with a bunch of friends. It was really, really fun. We all dressed up. In fact, our group was the best dressed, and we won a poster. Super, super exciting. So that's my happy thing I get to keep from the last movie, which makes me happy. Overall, I thought they did a fantastic job. They stayed fairly true to the book. When you got to the battle, it was heavily extended, but it's film, and I get that. It makes it look really cool to watch. You can be a lot more mental in a novel, and it doesn't always translate well. Although, when we're talking about the extension of the battle scenes, I thought the actual heading to the death of Voldemort was a little short. That part where they're actually fighting one-on-one, but whatever. I also didn't get the apparating in the heads turning into one for a second. That was a little odd to me. But they did do a beautiful job. I felt like this whole movie was fan service, was a thank you, and really part 1 and 2 was finally an understanding of what the fans wanted, which was an accurate portrayal of the novels. A really good point of that is actually my favorite chapter. Subscribers know how much I love the Forest again, because when I did my R&R for Deathly Hallows, I did 2 videos instead of 1 like I had been doing for all the others for that chapter, because I adore it so much. It's my favorite chapter in Harry Potter and actually all of fiction. So I was scared a little bit for that part, but although they did alter how they had Harry say goodbye, which isn't in the novels, but almost felt like a goodbye for us. So I don't know, maybe that's why they did it. When he was saying goodbye to Ron and Hermione. And that was a really lovely part anyways. And in the forest with Lily and James and Remus and Sirius, and it was awesome. That is really why this chapter is my favorite, because emotionally it just attacks you and goes so many places, starting with that and ending with the sacrificial death. Very much the grace metaphor. That's why I like Harry's chapter more than Aslan's death on some table or any of the other metaphors, because it's not just going there stoically, it's recognizing the need for help and the fear of it, even though you're completely aware and going to do it. He needed his mommy and his daddy, and he needed this love. And when I was watching it, I could and did quote along with it, because they went, for the most part, in that scene, word for word. And it was beautiful, and I was really, really happy, because the first movie, the thing, like, you can screw up everything, but if you let Dobby's death go, okay, I'll be fine. And in this movie, it was, you can screw up everything, just let the Force again be good. And it's the first time I cried in the movie. I didn't bawl or go crazy, just little tears. Like a lot of sniffling and like, oh my gosh, throughout the movie, but that was the first time I got little tears going. When I read the book, that part had me bawling. In fact, it's the only time I've ever read anything that so intensely that it made me have to put the book down because I couldn't read anymore. And I love the foreskin. They did it with so much justice and so much care and so much love, and up to his death and everything, and going to King's Cross. Although in my head I pictured it becoming more and more clear that it was King's Cross, it was still lovely too. And quoting, I don't think out of both these movies I've seen something with so much of the quoting and so much making sure they're saying exactly what I need to say. They did it 19 years later. I was mouthing the words along because it was from the book, and that's what I've wanted, and that's what they finally gave us in these beautiful and important scenes. I mean, Snape says, "Look at me." They added the line that you have your mother's eyes, but I think that worked just fine. And oh my gosh, the Princess Tale. Like I told you, I love the Princess Tale a lot too, and I feel it has so much. There's just so much there that you couldn't do it all in a movie unless you made it to the movie itself. And they also had to play this game of, well, we already have these very minor flashback scenes, and so we can't have actors at that age. And they did a great job with the Princess Tale in Little Lily and Little Snape and Petunia, and they weren't perfectly detailed with it, but it was the spirit and even some of the same words. Oh, you know what, never mind. The part where I started tearing up first was with the Princess Tale, which was right before, or I was on the verge of it, like somewhere around there, a little welling up, because they showed Snape holding Lily's body, and it was amazing and so sad. And I was sitting between two people that hadn't read the novel, and my friend to the right of me didn't have the slightest clue what was going to happen besides his guesses, and I couldn't have seen a better way to show how much he loved her than for him to be cradling her body. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And just the grief and the pain all over his face. And my friend Britt put something on her Facebook saying Rickman deserves an Oscar, and man, he really does. He's not in there the most, but I mean, Snape's character, and he did this amazing job. And it's, a crime, and it's probably not going to happen, but he definitely should be nominated for supporting actor, because it's amazing and heart-wrenching, and the always, and how the always was mirrored in the forest again scene was just awesome. Our trio did a fantastic job throughout the thing. I loved them so much throughout the whole thing. Ron and Hermione's kiss was awesome. Molly said her line, and my theater erupted. Speaking of Dobby, because I mentioned him a little bit ago, I was so pleased that we saw his headstone, because that was the one thing I missed from the Dobby scene in the last movie. I like how we saw Hogwarts, how regimented and strict and dead it looked. There weren't any of the ghosts or any of those things. And I did miss the ghosts in the battle and stuff. But taking away every bit of fantasy and fun from Hogwarts did visually do something pretty awesome to show the difference. And there were, like I said, with the fighting and stuff, a number of changes, and some of those were to with time elapse, and I get that for film. But I did totally like the fact that they snuck Harry into the Great Hall with the Gryffindors, and he came out in his robe, and that was, again, fan service, and it was really cool. See one more time. Other fan service was Neville and Luna, because it never happens in the books, but there was so much happiness there in the theater for that. Fan fiction gets to live in movie canon, so yay for you guys that are very big on Neville and Luna. Gosh, I'm gonna forget everything. 19 years later, I thought was very well done. I wanted to see Teddy, but the fact that Teddy was even mentioned in the forest again may only have been the fact that they wanted to be so true to those beautiful, beautiful lines Joe wrote. And I heard I know they had an actor and everything, so maybe there will be an extended forest again in the DVD. I don't know, way too early to tell. But it was really pretty and sweet, and the music was the same from the first movie, and I love that they brought John Williams back because he was fantastic. And I know I'm rambling, and this is a day later thinking about it. But like the lines there were pretty much the same, although am I the only one that thought 19 years later written on the screen was in a lame font? Sorry. Nitpicking, because when you do parts that are so well, you want everything to be perfect. Speaking of that, I'm a little on the fence about how they did Neville with Nagini, because he did have a speech, and he did have that, but they altered that, and that was to make Harry's fight longer. But I feel like they could have done the bit with the Sorting Hat being stuck on him and him burning alive and him getting it off, and that is his awesome and amazing bravery, because he stands up and he's attacked and he's hurt, and his things have these huge repercussions, and he could have died. And then he goes and he fights and he kills it right in front of everybody, and it's awesome. And that's the book, and I liked that, and Joe did an awesome thing there. But in the movie, I was almost like, you're not going to have Ron or Hermione kill it, are you? I'm going to be very unhappy with you. But you don't, and he goes and he saves parts of the trio, and that was kind of cool, but I do miss the original bit. I liked how Fred and George had one last little scene together. That was very, everyone in the audience going, oh,